joining us today for your Plant Fact Friday, but we are here on Thursday to talk to our guest speaker today because he's not available for tomorrow. So why don't you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your job here at the garden?
Sure. Hi guys, my name is Ryan Drake. I'm the ecological horticulturist here at the Greater Des Moines Botanical Garden. So my focus is on naturalistically designed plant communities and landscapes. So I primarily take care of the Lawrence and Savannah, the Rutledge conifer garden, gravel garden, and the parking lot gardens that you see coming in to our spaces. So that's primarily my job. I am also a beekeeper and very interested in native bees, but honeybees are certainly my jam. So I'll turn it over to Alex.
Yes, so today we are talking about honeybees and beekeeping. As you can see, we did post a question yesterday on our Facebook. Thank you to those who answered the question. The correct answer is B. Almonds are mainly pollinated by honeybees. Although some of the other fruits and vegetables that we put in there can be pollinated by honeybees, almonds are the only one that are commercially pollinated by the honeybees. So kind of a trick question, but honeybees, as we all know, pollinate a lot of our food. So we're here to talk about beekeeping. Ryan, you keep bees, right? How long have you kept bees and been doing this?
Yeah, so I first got into beekeeping about three and a half years ago at the previous garden that I was working at. So I shadowed a beekeeper for a year and then kind of took over the hives there at the garden and had been beekeeping and teaching kids as well as adults on the bee facts and on beekeeping as well. So it's been a few years and I love it.
Awesome. So teach me, if we were going to go to your hive, which you have 2 of them,
Sure.
What do I need to do to go tend some bees? What do I need?
Absolutely. So first off, of course, we kind of wear protection when we're going into the hives. So we have what's called a bee veil. So we put this over our heads. This is the classic beekeeper tool.
Okay.
So I'll have you put that on. You just slip your hands through the notches there.
This is the bee veil. Is this the right way forward?
Yep, so that's the correct way forward.
Okay.
Slip your arms through there, and then once you have your arms through, we've got our gloves here. So it's just leather, rolls up your sleeve. Primarily, you probably wouldn't beekeep in a dress. We would have long sleeves and probably jeans and stuff like that, just to protect ourselves.
Yeah.
But what's important to note is bees are really gentle creatures, right? When they're in the hive, I hardly ever get stung. It's only ever like once a year. So it's really not common for beekeepers to get stung, even though we do wear protection. Some beekeepers even choose not to wear protection, and they still are just fine checking their bees without any gloves or anything like that.
Right. And even when people are here walking around the garden, if they see a bee, they should know to feel comfortable around that bee. You know, they're not going to mess with you if you don't mess with them. But we have lots of pollinators here in the garden, and we love to just sit and watch the honeybees and the bumblebees. So, okay, so I have my bee veil and my gloves.
Perfect.
This is our little setup here. This is our hive.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
So this is our other classic beekeeping tool. I use this every time I go into a hive. So this is our smoker, of course. So I will light it up on the inside here with some twigs and leaves and newspaper if I have it, stuff like that, just to get it lighted up and shoot smoke out the top.
Okay, you just squeeze it like this.
And you just squeeze it like that and kind of go over the hive just
And
like that.
what is this smoke doing for the bees, and why do you use this?
So I use it to keep the bees from reacting to me going into their hive, right? So contrary to popular belief, the smoke doesn't do anything to calm the bees or have them scatter. It's actually, what we're doing is cutting off their communication system. So bees communicate through chemical signals or pheromones, and guard bees are going to alert the hive to an intruder. So they're going to send off a signal, an alarm system basically, to alert the hive in general that there is an intruder. If we smoke over the hive, we're cutting off that system, that alarm system, by cutting off that chemical pheromones that they can't communicate with each other, so they don't react to me being inside of the hive.
Sure. So it just kind of calms them down. They're not able to communicate. You do this at the beginning. Do you have to kind of do it throughout, depending on how long you might be checking the bees?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
So generally I try to limit my time in the hives themselves, because I don't want to cause too much disruption or anything like that. So I generally will only smoke when I am going right into the hive. I'll do my thing and get out. But if I do have to take measures, for whatever reason, to take longer into the hive, I might have to smoke once over again or something like that. Sure.
And because we're not harming the bees, as soon as we're done smoking, they're good to go. We're not harming them. We're not, stunning them for any point in time.
Nope. Sure. Nope. Perfectly safe for them.
Good. So next, this is a hive, right? Why don't we tell people what these slots are inside?
Yeah, so this is an example of a honey super. So this is what we would put on top of a larger box, which would be called a brood box, where they would raise new bees and procreate. This is the part where they would make honey. So this is where we would go in and harvest honey from. So we've got 10 frames, each kind of look like this. They have a plastic piece in the middle, so that the bees will build out their wax comb. So wax is produced by worker bees, especially when they're young, by a gland in their abdomen. So they produce wax, make the comb, and we'll let them do their thing. They'll go collect nectar and turn it into honey for us.
Awesome. So this is just the foundation. They're going to build it up, and then that's where they put the honey. How often do you collect honey from your hives?
Sure. So generally I collect honey once a year in the fall, as the season progresses and they are stronger and have produced a lot more honey. I'm always only going to take enough for myself to leave enough for the bees too. So I'm not taking all of the honey at a time. I'm leaving enough for them to overwinter successfully and have that food source that they would normally have in the wild in nature.
Awesome. So tell us about these other tools that you have here that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah. So this is called a bee brush. So this is a tool that I use. It's very soft. And it's just so when I'm moving stuff around, I can just brush bees out of the way without injuring or causing any damage. And they just fly off and get out of the way, so I can get at things a little bit easier.
Very cool.
This is my most important tool. So this is called a Hive Tool. So it's just kind of a stainless steel prior. So bees will make what's called propolis. So it's kind of a glue, different than the bee wax, that they will excrete and produce, especially on the edges and on the frames. That's going to seal the hive because they cannot regulate moisture inside of the hive. That they're going to seal the hive to keep moisture out. So it gets really sticky. So this is something that I use to kind of pry things.
Any of the moisture inside, do you not open it if it's wet or rainy?
Yeah,
do you have to monitor
exactly. So I always am aware of the weather when I'm going in to check the bees. So I never go in when it's going to forecast rain, or if it's, I'll wait for a day that is but sunny.
So while we're talking about honeybees, we know that honeybees are great for pollinating. What makes honeybees so great at pollinating? Why put them here for our flowers at the garden?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're super successful pollinators. They're considered what is called a generalist bee. So they're able to pollinate a whole host of flowers that makes them really successful, both in agricultural production and in horticulture, right? It's also this year was when they listed the Iowa state insect as the honeybee. So they are really, really important to our agricultural systems here in Iowa as well.
And is it true that they are not a native bee though? They were brought over to America?
Yes, it is very true. They are a European species. So they were brought in along with some of the first colonists, actually, goes back to then, that they were brought into the States and into North America for the purposes of beekeeping.
And is it true, I heard this once, that bees see different colors than humans?
Yes, it is true. So they actually see in ultraviolet, so they see a little bit beyond our purple range of sight. and that also kind of cuts off their ability to see red. So you will often find that bees tend to not go towards red flowers in your garden, and they prefer things that are more in purple, violet, and yellows in color.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming today to talk about all this stuff. I learned a whole lot. I hope you guys did too. If they want to learn more about all this, all honeybees, beekeeping 101, you should click the link below to sign up and learn more information. We are having a beekeeping 101 class with Ryan next Thursday. That's July 30th from noon to 1, and that'll be over Zoom, a virtual class that we're having. So check in there. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on our Plant Fact Friday. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, guys.